Round 22 of the Championship, the games look rather predictable with a lot of the top sides playing teams they probably should win. But this is the Championship, so let's predict them. Starting on Friday night, we head to Luton in probably one of the most unpredictable games of the lot, to be fair. Luton host Derby County, and this is a tough game because Luton, despite being a team who perform better at home, I still find very unpredictable and very, very difficult to trust. As I say, they're unbeaten at home in 5. They're much more trustworthy at the Kenny. But every time Luton appear to get a good thing going in the Championship this season, they find a way of blowing it the following week. They have an awkward Derby side who, let's be honest, aren't the greatest on the road, but have just come off the back of a thumping 4-0 win over Pompey 1 week prior. So that just makes me think that extra bit of confidence is going to make Derby a tougher opponent than maybe they would have been with the winless run they were on prior to that win over Pompey. And as I say, Luton, a team I'm still struggling to trust. I've got a feeling Derby will nick something from this one, so I'm going to go down the middle. Luton 1, Derby 1. To Hull, and they host Swansea City. Hull, of course, new manager Ruben Selles still getting to grips with the job, still early days. Still don't quite know what to expect from him yet. I don't think there's quite the manager bounce you sometimes get. It might take a bit of time for him to get his philosophy across and get Hull moving in the right direction, which I think they will. But will that make them get a victory this early in his reign? I'm not so sure. Swansea are a team who are ticking along quite nicely, as you'd expect them to. And as I've said all season with Swansea, they have a ceiling to which there are some teams in this league they just can't beat. But they always manage to pick up wins against the teams towards the bottom. And I feel like they'll edge one out here. They have only lost once in the last 5, Swansea. So they're playing all right. Hull, of course, on the longest winless run in the Championship, with 13 games without a win. Obviously, Ruben Selles' first win's going to have to come at some point. It could come here, absolutely. But given form, I'm going to back Swansea to edge this one. And I'm going to say Hull 1, Swansea 2. To Fratton Park now as Pompey host Coventry. And again, this might have been a slightly different prediction if you'd have asked me this prior to last weekend's games. But Portsmouth's bubble was burst. It was blown to smithereens by Derby last week. And that, I think, has just reverted Pompey back down to earth again. Be very intrigued to see how they react. And they've got a great opportunity to react at home to Coventry. But then again, Coventry have started pretty well under Frank Lampard. 2 wins in 3 under him. They are creating plenty. They have done all season. The case of can they convert on the night. Pompey have only lost once in their last 5. So despite that Derby win, they were, and probably you could say overall, still in decent form. But it all depends on how they react to that defeat here. It could either be a perfect reaction, they get back on the horse, they beat Coventry and all is rosy, or another bad result drops and they're back to where they were before. But I feel like this Coventry side are just on the verge of an uphill trend. I don't know if it's because they're having a bit of a bounce under Lampard and things will even out, but I think right now they are quite a dangerous proposition, I would say. And that's why I think they'll edge out Pompey just at Fratton Park. I'm going to go the same scoreline as I did for Swansea. I'm going to say Portsmouth 1, Coventry 2. And to Hillsborough next, where you've got 2 teams who are very much in different form. Wednesday are playing really well. They're creeping their way up towards the top 6, you've got to say. Stoke are going the other way and can't buy a victory at this moment in time. Stoke are winless in 7 with 3 defeats in that time. There is a little bit of hostility starting to build up at the Bet365. I've seen a few Stoke fans not happy with Palash, not happy with where Stoke are at right now. They're just stuck in the same usual cycle of mediocrity at Stoke that they just cannot get themselves out of. Whereas Sheffield Wednesday have broken out of a kind of mediocre, inconsistent run earlier in the season and have started to gather a little bit of momentum with 3 wins in their last 5. For that reason, I've got to back the home side here. They're just in much better form and they look like they are moving in the right direction, as long as hopefully all of the speculation around Danny Röhl and the potential move to Southampton, as long as that doesn't provide a distraction for the Owls, I am going to back them to beat Stoke here and pile on the misery at the Potters. I'm going to say Sheffield Wednesday 2, Stoke 0. Turf Moor now, and Burnley host Watford. And Burnley, of course, at home, don't concede. It's very hard to bet against them when they're at Turf Moor. And Watford, for all that they are, a decent side, especially on their own home soil, obviously away from home is the big blemish on Watford at the moment. Burnley's form at home, as I say, 6 wins from 8. They've only conceded 3 goals at home all season, should I say, whereas Watford, albeit are unbeaten in 5, they've lost 6 of their 10 away games this season. I do think this will be a low-scoring affair. I do think Watford are getting better as the season goes on, and I do think they'll provide a competitive test for Burnley, but as they do at home, they won't concede, and they'll find a way from somewhere, whether it's a screamer, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a long-range shot with no XG whatsoever. I don't know. Burnley will find a way. They'll keep a clean sheet. I think it's got Burnley 1, Watford 0 written all over it. Cardiff, Sheffield United up next, and another game you'd have to say it's hard to make a case for the underdog, the side who are out of form, the side towards the bottom of the league. That's, of course, Cardiff City, who themselves are suffering a really poor form right now, and again, the fans aren't too happy there. The new manager bounce under Omar Rizza has completely burst and has flattened since he got the job permanently. And to be fair, a little bit before he got the job permanently as well. They desperately need a kickstart. They desperately need something to get them back in gear, because they're getting right back, dragged and embroiled in to that relegation dogfight. Cardiff are winless in 7 with 4 defeats. Sheffield United just don't lose games. 8 wins from 10. They are just the most efficient side I think I've seen in a long, long time. They always find a way to win. They're so good at managing games, and they don't concede goals. Call it predictable, but I'm going for the usual Sheffield United score. Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 2. And arguably an even more predictable game down at Ellen Road as Leeds host Oxford. I don't think there's more of a one-sided game this weekend. It would have been a tough task for Oxford anyway with Leeds' home form. Leeds have won 8 home games in a row and are the best home side in the Championship. Oxford, on the other hand, have only won once in their last 15 and have the second worst away record in the Championship. But you pile on top of that the fact that they've decided to get rid of Des Buckingham, and they'll be going into this game, you'd assume, managerless. I cannot make a case for Oxford, and I don't think I could have made a case for them anyway, but I think without Des Buckingham, their fate has been sealed, and this could be a game they might just have to write off and try and just limit the damage that Leeds could inflict on them. So you won't be surprised to hear me go for a strong Leeds win. I'm not going to be too all in and hammer Oxford here, but I am going to go for a comfortable win. Leeds 3, Oxford 0. Another managerless side now as Millwall host high-flying Blackburn Rovers, who of course have won 6 in a row with 5 clean sheets. The most informed team in the league, propelling themselves into the top 6 and maybe onto the back of the top 2 fight. It's incredible what's happening at Blackburn, but they do face a tricky trip to Millwall, and had Neil Harris been in, I would have comfortably backed Millwall to actually find a way of getting something here, because we played Millwall last week, and firsthand, I already knew, but anyway, but having played them, I just know how difficult Millwall are to play. But Blackburn aren't an easy team to play either, so this means this could be a game that's very tight, very scrappy. One might edge the other, but I always have a feeling at the Den, Millwall will just find a way. And I just don't know how long this Blackburn run can continue. If it rolls through the Den, then absolutely fair play. And maybe they're playing Millwall at the right time without them having a manager. I don't know. But I'm going to back Millwall. I just have a feeling they'll nick something from this. And I think they'll get a draw. And I'm going to say Millwall 1, Blackburn 1. To the south coast now, Plymouth host Milot, the Boro. As always, I've done a full-on preview of this with my Project Boro preview show where I preview both sides, looking at the stats, predictions, etc. But my basic roundup or prediction of this game is that it should be one that Boro should win, undoubtedly. Plymouth, despite a fantastic performance against Sheffield United, are in terrible form. They're winless in 6. They've lost 4 in a row. And listen, they're not 24th, but they are statistically, and I think will soon be, the worst team in the Championship. The one big hope, though, for Plymouth is that Mike Phelan's through the door, and I do believe that will have a positive impact, and they are much better at home. I think they've only lost once in their last 7 home games. So it'll be a tough test for Boro going down there. Boro have won 5 in their last 8. And I feel like this might just be an open game. You've got one of the best creative sides going to a team who are good at home but leak goals massively. And for that reason, I think Middlesbrough will just overpower Plymouth in this one. And I'm going to go for a Boro win. I'm going to say Plymouth 1, Boro 3. To QPR now, and you've got 2 teams who were in bother and are starting to pull away from the relegation battle and are looking ahead to safety. QPR against Preston. But one team I think is just in a little bit of stronger form than the other, especially with their home advantage, and that is, of course, QPR, who have had an amazing turnaround, unbeaten in 6. They've won 3 of them games, and their last 2 home wins have been 2-0 with clean sheets. I think Loftus Road is starting to be a tougher place to go, as it rightfully should be for anyone visiting QPR. And Preston are a side who have stopped the rot. They're not losing games now, but they're not winning too many either. They're unbeaten in 6, but they've drew 5 of them. And I still feel more confident in Preston at home than I do away. So for that reason, I'm going to go for QPR to edge this one. Not get another clean sheet, but I'm going to say QPR to win. QPR 2, Preston 1. And to Sunderland now, and another maybe predictable fixture, possibly, maybe. Norwich come to town, and listen, Norwich are a great side. They have fantastic attackers, and especially at home, they seem to score goals for fun. But one of the big issues that I have with Norwich is their away form, and when and if their big players aren't firing. And I just feel like there's more of a chance that that will not happen here. And Sunderland's home record, is just very, very good. They're unbeaten at home. They've not lost at the Stadium of Light all season. And although their form has been a little bit rocky of late, I feel like they're picking it up ever so slightly now. And with Norwich, they're winless in 3. They're generally poor on the road, and they haven't won in any of their last 7 away games. So I find it very difficult to make a case for Norwich here in this one. I just feel like the Stadium of Light is too tough of a place to go at the moment. So I'm going to go with Sunderland to win this one. Sunderland 2, Norwich 0. Finally, on Sunday, West Brom host Bristol City. You've got one side who, are hard to predict for one reason, because they draw a lot. And, although recently they've won a game and lost a game, I still don't know what to expect from West Brom. And at the Hawthorns, they haven't been great. They've only scored 8 goals at home this season, only won 1 home win in 7, or won 1 of their last 7 home games. Bristol City are one of the very few teams in this league where I can't definitively say what to expect. Even looking at their form, even looking at their numbers, I just don't know what to expect from Bristol City. They can go to Pompey, I think it was, and get hammered. They can go away from home to much bigger teams and put in a fantastic performance and win like they did at the Riverside. So who knows what to expect from this Bristol City team. So I'm going to go with the most safe, narrow, I don't know what you want to call it. I'm going to go for West Brom. I feel like they'll edge this one out. But honestly, this game out of the lot could be absolutely anything. But I feel like it'll be low scoring and West Brom may just edge it. So I've gone with a West Brom win, the Baggies 1, the Robins 0. So there you go, guys. There's my predictions for round 22. Let me know yours in the comment section below. Let me know your prediction for your team and your thoughts ahead of the weekend. And as always, I'm going to be back to round these up after the fixtures have dropped, after they've played over the weekend. And then we're into a very busy Christmas period where I'm just going to play it by ear as and how quickly I can turn around any championship content alongside the Boro content I do as well. Because obviously after this, we're going to have Boxing Day, then the 29th, then New Year's Day. So I dare say there won't be another prediction video for a while now. Maybe once we're well into January, just given how quickly the games are going to come thick and fast. We like to prioritise the roundups, and I think they're going to be tough enough to get out with the schedule we've got coming up over Christmas. So I'll see what I can do, but that will be the last prediction video for a while. I will be rounding up the games though, so still subscribe for that if you haven't already. And as always, to support the video, smash the like button and leave me a comment below with your thoughts. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.